Thank you, Gina and Christian. And with me now is Jared Kofsky. He reports for Jersey Digs, a website out of Jersey City. And you were telling me that you were on the scene when Governor Christie voted this morning and had a little, shall we say, back and forth with one of the other voters there. Tell us about that. What did you say?
He was scheduled to come to vote at his usual polling place in the Brookside section of Mendham Township at 10:15. And he came around a half hour late. There were some community members who were there waiting to see him. And then after he voted, he came outside to do a Q&A with the media who attended. There was not a lot of New York media present, but while he was taking questions and answers, there was a woman behind, like the row of cameras. She was a resident of Mendham Township, and she started basically heckling the governor once he started bringing up how he brought up the need for how he felt one way to lower taxes is for more municipal consolidation, and he was mentioning that in his 8 years in office, the only one that he was able to do successfully was between Princeton Borough and Princeton Township and Mercer County. And what was happening was he goes, I wish, for example, here in Mendham Township, Mendham Borough, why do we have two Mendhams? We have 3 fire departments, we have 2 libraries. And then she basically, I don't know if after hearing that was what she wanted him to start going to, she all of a sudden said, well, why didn't you do anything about that in your 8 years? And then there was sort of a back and forth between this resident of Mendham and the governor, and then it got to a point where he was saying, well, why don't you run for township committee? And then she was saying, well, I don't have the money that you do. And then eventually she walked off and went inside to vote, and the governor kept on going. But it sort of summed up, that's sort of what Governor Christie is used to doing at this point, and I guess it's sort of what his fellow residents, I guess, have come to expect.
Well, how do you compare that to what you witnessed when Sheila Oliver, who apparently is going to be the next lieutenant governor of the state, voted later on, right?
You know, the contrast of going from Essex County to Morris County and seeing just the difference that day in the reception between Sheila Oliver arriving to vote at the Bethel Presbyterian Church in East Orange as opposed to Chris Christie arriving to vote in Brookside was when the governor arrived to vote, there's usually a bunch of cameras and reporters who were there. When Sheila Oliver came to vote, there was not a single report. I was the only reporter who was there. There were no photographers. There were no supporters who were gathered there to see her arrive. It was basically just a representative from the Murphy campaign, and she came in, she voted, she said hi to some of the poll workers, some people who happened to be there voting anyway. I spoke with her briefly, and she gave a few remarks, and then was gone within a couple minutes. So it was quite a contrast.
But no back and forth, no heckling.
No heckling.
Very tame in comparison.
No heckling in East Orange today.
What's going on in Jersey City? It just seems to be a boom town. Is that correct, or are there issues, problems there as well?
It seems like when people use like boomtown stuff to describe Jersey City, I think the big thing that we're seeing in Jersey City and Newark and probably in a couple of years Trenton is that who the boomtown is for is the big debate. So while a lot of people who are coming in from New York and other cities are basically reflecting on, oh, it's great to invest in Jersey City, many residents have been feeling upset that there's a possibility they could get displaced because many residents of these cities are largely renters, and there's a big fear that as property taxes go up, it's great for the landlords, but not as much for the residents who live there. So there's sort of been a concern as to, while it's great in many residents that there is a lot of development, and there are new businesses coming in Newark and Jersey City are both seeing new companies coming in, opening up along the waterfront in Journal Square, but there's also concern that there's not enough affordable housing that's being meant to keep up with the increase in development. And as we're sort of seeing tonight with the Jersey City mayoral election under Mayor Steve Phillip, he's also been, even though he wasn't as much in favor of them initially, he's been a big proponent of the tax abatements for developers. So there's sort of been a mixed reaction in Jersey City to them. So whether or not it's a boom in Jersey City or a bust, it will sort of depend on who you ask. But regardless of what anyone thinks, if you go to Jersey City or Newark now, buildings continue to rise. There's continuing demand in all of the city.
Interesting to see, and a lot of great developments, and issues come with that, as you say. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
And for the work you do for Jersey Digs. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay, now back to the News Lab and Christian and Gina.